Welcome back to the Game Collection. I am SuperDerek, and this is Shin Megami Tensei Persona 2 Innocent Sin.
Really gonna keep it going, deep down here, knowing what's gonna happen next. Unknown, can't keep my eyes closed, man, it's cool. Look everywhere for my identity, hurt everywhere, did I blow into an entity? I don't know where have I gone wrong. Wanna try me, but you only got hate, only interested in my fate and insecurities. Now my way, and interference, start them away. Let there be light in the dark night. Gotta get it back, it's time I get it back. I wanna bring it back to the good old days.
Like the Final Fantasy series, the US didn't end up getting all of the Persona titles when they were first released. After Persona 1 was released, development began on Persona 2 Innocent Sin. Unfortunately, we never ended up getting Innocent Sin. Sure, we got Persona 2, but that was actually Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, a sequel of sorts to Innocent Sin. Well, maybe that's not exactly the right way to put it. Most call the games a duology, and long story short, we only got Part 2 until Atlus released Innocent Sin on the PSP. Well, yeah, okay, maybe that's not entirely accurate either, because we did end up getting a fan translation thanks to a dedicated team of fans. And while we are being pedantic, the original set of Persona games weren't technically Shin Megami Tensei games, they were Megami Ibenroku Persona, in order to signify that they were a spin-off series to Shin Megami Tensei. But with the release of Persona 3, Atlus brought the Persona series under the Shin Megami Tensei umbrella, and new releases and re-releases since have been titled thusly. In Innocent Sin, you play as Tatsuya, a quiet high school delinquent who plays it cool in the face of danger. This works pretty well and sometimes to comedic effect since he's a mostly silent protagonist. Tatsuya meets up with 4 other friends, including Yuki from Persona 1, while investigating rumors about a curse placed on his high school's emblem. The investigation leads to 3 startling revelations. The first is that there's a game you can play to summon the Joker, who will make your dreams become a reality. Another is that for some reason, rumors are becoming true. And lastly, someone or something has it in for Tatsuya and gang. In typical JRPG fashion, things quickly snowball into an adventure in which the world hangs in the balance. But I wouldn't expect anything less from a 50-hour game. In addition to the overarching plot of saving the world, the cast that makes up the player's party each have a subplot centering on the idea of personal growth and dealing with a past tragedy of some sort. It's a kind of neat thing they did. In Persona, you fight demons using your own inner demons called persona, but outside of battle, each character is tackling their own inner demons of the past. And in truth, this aspect of the game's story is far more compelling. The plot of the game is really excellent overall though, and is probably one of the game's greatest assets. But the ending of the game feels like one of the game's greatest enemies. And that's because this game simply didn't really have one. Remember, Persona 2 is a duology, and this game is only part 1, so instead of the satisfaction of knowing all is right in the world, all we are left with after a 50-hour romp through the game is the perfect setup for Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. Persona 2 Innocent Sin feels like a good step forward from Persona 1. In battles, your characters aren't stuck to a grid anymore with limited attack ranges. The game has opened up quite a bit so that you don't have to really worry about your battle positions at all anymore. Also new to Persona 2 is that your characters can now freely switch between persona during battle, which you will need to do in order to take full advantage of the new fusion spell system. In this, characters can cast specific spells in a specific order to create larger, more powerful attacks with added effects. You could sort of compare this to the battle system of Breath of Fire 4. Things are even streamlined so that once you've performed a fusion spell, you can select the fusion spell directly at the beginning of the turn, and the game will just handle the rest for you from there. A minor bit of criticism I have for this though, is that the process of changing personas during battle is pretty tedious. So if you want to perform a specific fusion spell, you'll have to go through a lot of menus in order to assign everyone the personas with the required skills, and that can really interrupt the flow of battle. Graphically, everything is pretty similar to Persona 1 with the exception of navigating dungeons. While Persona 1 was closer to the other Shin Megami Tensei games with its first-person dungeon crawl experience, Persona 2 looks and controls more like, well, Breath of Fire 4 actually. Environments are polygonal models and characters are 2D sprites. We're also given control over the camera, which helps mitigate the feeling of claustrophobia I had in Persona 1. I do realize though that this is just a matter of preference, so fans of the dungeon crawl experience may be disappointed with this change. One of my main complaints with my experience playing Persona 1 on PSP was the reworked soundtrack, which was full of J-pop that didn't mesh well with the dark tone of the game. Well, this time we're in luck though, because Atlus included the option to switch to the original music in Persona 2 Innocent Sin. So if you want the authentic experience, you can have it. The default though is a remixed soundtrack of the original release, and because of this, all of the new music still fits perfectly. There is very little in the way of J-pop, except for the intro, which is actually really catchy. Persona 2 Innocent Sin is officially only available on the PSP in the United States, though patches exist for the PlayStation version if that's your preference. But I think that the benefits of the PSP version, including the remixed soundtrack, bonus PSP exclusive dungeon, completely reworked interface, and widescreen format, gives the PSP version the edge and is well worth the $25 investment. Mine even came with a cool soundtrack, which is nice. Innocent Sin is a long and compelling game, but after getting attached to the characters in the game I just sank 50 hours into, I didn't get an ending, and dang it, I want an ending, and I'm going to get one next time on the Game Collection.